Hi, and welcome back to In the Kitchen with me, Mikey. And we've got Roy behind the camera. Today is a very, very, very special episode. We are doing a double birthday episode. The first is for the great state of West Virginia, wild and wonderful. Just had our 138th birthday. For that celebration, we are making a, what would you say it is, a West Virginia staple or a West Virginia treat?
A staple, coal miner food.
We are making pepperoni rolls. Not like you would see in some restaurants where they're more like pinwheels. These you'll see are more like a hot roll pizza pocket, maybe? You'll see here in a few minutes. We're going to start with a basic dough. In here I have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1 full stick of butter. 1 full packet of active dry yeast. I use it in bulk, so it's a little more than a tablespoon. And you have almost 2 cups of milk. This is going to vary. You want to heat your milk, and in your milk I have 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. If you don't add salt to bread, it's really flat tasting. I suggest you do it. This does have a little bit more sugar than normal because the dough on those tend to be a little bit sweeter, a lot like your Hawaiian style dinner rolls. With your softened butter, you want to put in your rather tepid milk. Your milk will help cool it down. You don't want to cool it down too much. If you do, you can just pop it in the back in the microwave, no problem at all. Your butter does not have to completely melt. Sprinkle your yeast on top. Mix it for a few minutes, a few seconds, just until you get all of your yeast nice and moist. And in about 5 minutes, that's going to be bubbling and making magic. I use a stand mixer. You don't have to. If you like getting your exercise and kneading on the counter till your arms fall off, you can do that too. I don't mind. But, well, you know, God gave us KitchenAid, so I use it. Here's a little slinger for you guys. We are drinking Cape Cods today with, of course, the West Virginia vodka, blue and the gold and blue. It's really good. This is the 3rd week we've been drinking it. Same bottle, though. Come on.
Oh, yes. We're not alcoholics in no way.
No. We do this. You know, in the famous words of my guy, the Wolf Pit, we do this so you don't have to.
There you go.
I hope he watches and sees this. You want your kneading attachment? I have the old school kneader. I've noticed that they've redesigned it in the last couple of years, and it's a lot more corkscrewy. I warmed mine up. This one is already starting to bloom. You'll see activity anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes. My yeast I keep very fresh. I keep it in the freezer. When you guys buy the packets, I think you're paying 99 cents a packet for them, or more. If you use a lot of yeast, or you bake your own bread, it's rare. I buy bread. As I say that, I'm dieting, so I have a new bread that I just can't duplicate at home. But if you are a bread maker, hot rolls, I suggest you go to your health food stores and get the large containers. In fact, I'll show you. I don't think it has a brand name on it. It's just how they package it. Just as a basic baking yeast, we have what's called a Healthy Life Market here in Charleston, West Virginia. This is about a little more than a pound, and I paid $5 for it. You know, $5 for that, or you can pay $6 for one of the little jars. And this is a wonderful yeast. But watch out at the health food places. You can accidentally pick up nutritional yeast, if you don't read it, and that's completely different. Nutritional yeast is just that. Now, I've mixed my flour a little bit. My yeast is very well incorporated. And now we'll just slowly pour it in. Now, depending on your humidity, you know, I don't like sounding like my grandmother, but my grandmother really had a point. Humidity makes such a difference when you're baking or making candies. Too much water in the air, of course that's going to translate into your flour. You may need to add a little bit more flour, or in some cases add a little bit more milk. Wintertime usually tends to dry out your house. Just scrape down your sides. Let your mixer do its thing. Your dough, a real key thing with making home doughs. I see a lot of people always want to make them a lot drier than what they need to be because it is easier to work with, but you end up with a very dry product that doesn't rise very well. You want it moist, still quite tacky. Make sure you have some dusting flour handy so you can roll it out on your counter. And with this, we are going to do a double rise.
I can smell it.
If you watch, it's starting to pull away from the sides now.
You smell the yeast?
Yeah, it smells really good. That is going to be strong. I make and keep sourdough. I usually keep it up in my window, but because of the diet, I haven't been eating a lot of bread. And you open it up, and it's the best smelling beer. And that's a project I will do for you guys. I'll try to do in the next 2 or 3 months, but do beer bread. Beer is the perfect yeast. It has everything in it that you want. And you can make a semi-mock sourdough and get some of the same flavor, or just a damn good beer bread for dipping in cheese. You can make sandwiches on it, but I would do hot sandwiches because it would just waste your bread not to. I'm going to go ahead and get an extra, about half a cup of flour because it looks like it's going to need it. You don't want to add it in all at once. In fact, you want to add about a teaspoon or a tablespoon at a time because you would be surprised how much water flour will absorb. You get a clean spoon. Somebody asked me about my spoons the other day, why they're so big. I use Korean style soup spoons. They get into things so much better. This dough is just a little bit too tacky. Yes, I said tacky and moist in the same video. I'm going to start off with about 2.5 teaspoons. I know my doughs pretty well, so that should come together.
Yeah, look at that.
And I still want to save some dusting for the counter. Now you want this to knead approximately 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. It is possible to over knead in a machine, and you'll know because your dough it'll just fall back apart and almost turn back into a liquid. You don't want to do that. When it really starts pulling away from the sides, that's when you want to count 10 minutes. On KitchenAid, that's usually number 2 or number 3. Just let it work, do its thing. Make sure it doesn't bounce off your counter, and you will have a great dough. I'm not going to make you listen to this for the next 10 minutes, so give us about 10 minutes and we'll be right back. Hi guys, and welcome back. 20 minutes later, we'll pretend. It was a little longer than that. Okay, what I'm doing now is just dusting my countertop. Kind of have a little countertop because I've got several things going on. But anyway, this is the dough now that it has doubled. You know it's doubled. See, and it leaves you a little indentation. So nice. You want to roll it out onto your counter. Keep a little bit of flour always for dusting. If you oiled it really well before you put it in your pan, which that was a step I did skip, after your 10 minutes of
resting
thing, or no, 10 minutes of mixing.
Yeah.
Then you want it to put it in a greased pan and let it double in size. Greased pan makes it come out a whole lot easier. Okay, what you're looking for, and I don't even want to hear it, that ain't a cutting board. Counters today are made where they're more scratch resistant. Hey Michael, don't you have a pastry knife? Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, I got you. I like them. I used that when I was making biscuits at Hardee's.
Oh. They're one of the few places that actually make their stuff real.
Oh, yeah.
Normally, I don't get too OCD about weights, but on these, I do try to keep them all about the same, and I try to hit right at 2 ounces.
Look at there.
2 1/4, close enough. Just to show you a few of these, go ahead, roll them into a ball, just tuck underneath, tuck underneath, tuck underneath, pulling tight. Just set them to the side in your flour. Once we get quite a few of these rolled out, I'll show you what to do next with your pepperoni. But we can do this for a minute. It's kind of fun. That's a good thing about cooking in general, at least for me. It's a therapy in a way. It relaxes you. You really do need to think about it, especially when you're baking, because baking is so much like a science. The more you do, the better things will get, with the exception of biscuits, because I have tried to make biscuits for... How old am I? Yeah, I'm almost 44. So I've been making biscuits for about 36 years, and I still can't make a damn good biscuit every time. I'm kind of salty about that. And I have followed every recipe out there. If somebody knows the magic trick to great biscuits, please let me know.
Don't be salty when you make them.
Any other bread I can make, sourdough bread, milk breads, egg breads, challah breads. Challah breads.
Challah.
Holla!
Oh, Missy Elliott.
Get your freak on. Get your freak on.
I was thinking, well, work it. Let me work it. Put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
You do realize we're giving away our age, right?
I don't know how old I am.
Any of you guys have a favorite, maybe baking story with a mother, a grandmother, a friend, like Roy here? Just something that makes you happy. Leave a comment down on the bottom. Tell me what it is. Or if there's something you guys like as far as baked goods and you'd like to see somebody do it, by all means, send in your recipe. My email address is on the webpage. This will be the last one we're doing. That's almost 3 ounces.
That's a big one.
I'm also going to show you guys 2 different ways to do this. I'm going to show you a pretzel roll with it, or just straight pepperoni. Now, here's where things get fun. I don't know how you guys are in your house. Some people have every kitchen tool imaginable, which I pretty much do. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, hey, I don't have a rolling pin.
Oh, No.
I have one. I just don't know where the hell it's at right now.
There you go.
Great rolling pin. Typically, you would want to use one that's empty. Yeah, well, although it does seem like we're heavy drinkers, we're really not.
No.
What got all this started is this man behind the camera here, Mr. Roy.
Oh.
We have talked about doing something like this for about a year. And I kept asking if there's something you would want, tell me what it is, and I'll show you how to make it. Well, somehow that evolved into me doing this again. So, mozzarella you'll remember from last week's meal, where we made homemade enchiladas and canufa.
Yeah.
Which I want to show Roy an easier way to make the canufa. And that's a great thing about recipes. The first time you make one, I encourage you, majorly encourage you, to follow the recipe exactly, unless there is truly an ingredient in there you do not like. Then you play with it. Change up things if you like more garlic or more sugar or more whatever, go for it. So we've rolled these out to about 2 inches by 2 inches, give or take. Pinch and pull, don't be afraid. I've put a good pinch of mozzarella cheese in there. We're going to put about 5 to 6 pieces of pepperoni. You don't want a ton because you don't want your dough to be overly greasy. These are not a health food by any means, so there is going to be some grease. Now, I have not personally tried this, but I would imagine it would be just as good to use maybe a turkey pepperoni. But in all honesty, if you look at the ingredients on there, you're not saving any calories at all. And probably doubling up even more on your salt than what you need to. So what I'm going to do is get out a 9 by 13 greased cookie sheet, which, yeah, I kind of sort of forgot that. I'm not going to lose the lid this week, though. Just a quick spray. This is butter flavored. Use whatever makes you happy. I'll roll a couple of more for you. And if your dough really is good and moist, like it should be, you can almost pat these out just with the heel of your hand. Stretch them a little bit. And also, this dough doubles up greatly. Try putting them in a round cake pan, probably a 9-inch round cake pan. Same size balls, 2 inches. Put them in there touching. Cover them with either an egg wash, which is 1 egg, well beaten, to 2 tablespoons of warm water. Spread that on top, or butter if you like. I like the butter.
Of course.
Butter's better.
Yes.
And they make the best Parker House hot rolls.
Mm.
They have just a touch of sweetness. You can do these with ham. I've seen some gourmet ones lately, which is kind of weird because these really were coal miner food. But I've seen people do it with turkey. I've seen people do it with ham. I've seen people do this with spinach and feta. Now, fair warning. These are usually good for about 3 days unrefrigerated, which is typically how we keep them here. You'll find them in your convenience stores the same way. When you switch up your ingredients, make sure that they are safe at room temperature, or if you're not sure, refrigerate them. Typically, these are served room temperature, although it's 50-50 with people. Some of them like to microwave it. There is no marinara sauce on here, and I have yet to see a real West Virginian dip these in marinara sauce.
Yeah.
It's usually a quick lunch on the run, a snack. Here we have them in our convenience stores. There's two major brands, and for the life of me right now, I can't think of one of them. I believe is Rosa, Mama Rosa's, for some reason. That's your most common, and you will see them with and without cheese. Typical is without. And once again, we are back. We have our first batch rolled in the oven. The second batch that I'm working on, I told you I would show you how to do more of a pretzel coating. And this works for any of your batters where you want to make soft baked pretzels. In a pan, you want, give or take, 5 or 6 cups of water and about 4 heaping tablespoons of baking soda. You have to watch this because it will boil over. Ideally, you would do this process exactly the same as you do bagels. You would use a lye water, but it's really hard to find food grade lye right now, and it's very caustic. You can get the same effect in getting alkali in your water just by using the baking soda. You want to return these to the heat about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Same way with bagels. That's really what gives them that chewy texture and a really good pretzel-y flavor. So I'm going to let these cook for just a minute. You don't want to let them open up. I didn't quite pinch that one. Out of those, I've done pretty good. So on these, depending on your salt level, keep in mind the pepperoni and the mozzarella is quite salty anyway, but you still want that with your pretzel because these are really intended to dip maybe in some mustard. Pretzels are always good with mustard. Not that Dijon mustard though. Not feeling it. Not feeling it. When it comes to something like this and with corn dogs, and yeah, I like corn dogs a lot. But being a vegetarian, they're hard to find. But with corn dogs, you really want just a plain old yellow mustard. Come on. This one is going to fall apart.
That's what not to do.
Yes, make sure you pinch all of your edges. If I try to bake that, it is just going to be a mess. So we're just going to pretend that that's not there. You have them all salted. You're going to bake these in the oven around 15 to 20 minutes or until nicely golden brown. Your non-pretzel will take about 25 minutes. This will brown much faster. And I use some butter just on the tops of mine. You can use an egg wash if you like. And if you take a peek, those are almost ready. About another 5 minutes. And then we'll be right back. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome back. They are out. These are a regular, just lightly buttered. And this is the pretzel that was made in the alkalized water with baking soda. You see they're much darker, much more like a pretzel. And we ended up saving the one that broke open, made into a little bit of a pie. Roy likes that one. You do want to let these cool slightly. And then you see they come right up. Perfect. Eat them how you like them. They're wonderful. And this is a true West Virginia staple. Outside of West Virginia, you're really not going to find these. I've been to places outside of West Virginia that call them pepperoni rolls. And most of the time I see that there's something like a pinwheel just rolled up. But this is a true West Virginia pepperoni roll. You guys have got to try this recipe. If you're ever in West Virginia, pick one up. They're at almost every convenience store in the state. You really don't see them on a lot of restaurant menus, although there is a big pizza chain here that does have them, and they're pretty good too. So moving right along, this is West Virginia's birthday week. It was Thursday. So what better way to celebrate than to bake a cake. This is going to be a carrot cake for a second friend's birthday. Our cameraman's brother-in-law. Hi, Tim. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Woo!
So, we'll go right into this. Right back to the good old KitchenAid mixer. In here, I have 2 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of sugar. To that, we are going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of cinnamon and just a small smidgen of allspice. This is where things get weird with carrot cake. I see a lot of variation. Some people use nutmeg. Some people use just straight pumpkin pie spice, and that's fine. The one thing that I personally am dead set against, because it's a complete texture thing, I see a lot of raisins in carrot cake. Personally, I don't like them. I leave them out. If it's something you enjoy, take you 1/2 cup of raisins, soak them preferably in bourbon or hot water. Bourbon's better. So moving along, in here we have 1 tablespoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of salt. Here I have 3 cups of hand shredded carrots. Buy them if you can, they'll be easier. Or you can use your knuckle buster. I know everybody's got one in their house, whether they want to admit it or not, and shave away. Here we have 4 eggs. To be safe, you really want to crack your eggs in a separate vessel. Every now and then you come across eggs with blood. Not so much in the stores anymore. And unfortunately, these are store-bought eggs. You can see how pale the yolks are. I have just not been out to my farm to get more eggs. So you've got 4 large eggs. Go ahead and pour them in. You know that they're all clean. This is a Madagascar bourbon vanilla. When you are using real vanilla, you want to cut way, way back. This stuff is made, you can't really see it down in here, but there are full vanilla beans, vanilla pods, which, by the way, are from an orchid. Yeah, look it up. Wiki's a great thing. I was surprised too. And bourbon. Regular recipe, if you have just regular either imitation vanilla or a plain vanilla. You know, I don't want to sound like that girl on the Food Network that you want vanilla by angels kissed with God's own raindrops. Yeah, I'm not that bad. It just happens. I like good vanilla, and it's worth spending. You know, I think with this one was a $20 bottle. If you're ever down in Mexico, pick it up. You can't go wrong.
It smells good.
Yeah, it's very strong.
Yes.
Very strong.
Yes, it is.
In here we have 1.5 cups of oil. I did not say this was a healthy cake. I don't want to hear it. Now, here I have 1 cup of pecan halves. If you don't like nuts or you prefer another nut, by all means, try it. One that I actually like in this recipe and works really well, believe it or not, are sesame seed. Or I'm sorry, not sesame seeds. Sunflower seeds are really good in this cake. You want to mix this just until combined. While that's mixing, you can get your 9-inch springform pan ready. Make sure your bottom is put in correctly or you'll leak. Now, this is again where this recipe can vary. You can do this in 3 different sections. If you have, they're 9-inch by, I think, 2-inch round cake pans. If you prefer to do those in 3 sections, you can. I do this in one entire cake, and then I only cut mine in half and ice it with the cream cheese frosting, which I will show you when this cake comes out of the oven. Take a look and you will see it comes together very quickly. You do not want to overmix this cake batter. You don't want to overmix any cake batter for that matter. You tend to get them very pointy. You don't want to overwork your gluten. After all, you're making a cake, not a bread. You have a big, big, big battle between using all-purpose flour or using a cake flour or bread flour for bread. Yes, there is a difference in the gluten content. With a cake, if you have it on hand, use cake flour by all means. If you don't, all-purpose flour works fine. I do not recommend a bread flour for this because it will be just too dense, and a carrot cake is dense on its own. Put your whole mix in the pan. And this is a non-stick 9-inch spring form, and I still spray mine with a non-stick spray. What will help this is letting it cool completely and running your knife around the edge, and it'll come out great. You do want to pick it up and drop it on your counter a couple of times. Not only is that going to level it out for you, but if there's any large air bubbles, it'll just bring them up to the surface and be done. This you're going to cook for almost an hour. I start checking mine 350 degrees. I'll check it starting at about 45 minutes, but I'm going to say it's going to go every bit of an hour. And we will see you in 1 hour when it comes out. Thanks. Hi guys, and welcome back. Now we are working on the icing, cream cheese icing, for the carrot cake. In here I have 2 8-ounce packages of Philadelphia cream cheese, 1.5 to 1 cup of sugar depending on your taste. Again, this is where people vary. Sometimes they use powdered sugar. Personally, I don't like to. You mix it up enough, you're not going to get that gritty texture. In with that, I also have 1/2 stick of butter and 1/8 of a teaspoon vanilla. You want to mix this for about 3 minutes until well combined. While that's mixing, let's step over here and take a look at the cake that just came out. You will get some settling on top, but not much. You do want to fully cool the cake before you try to take it out of the ring, or you'll stick, and the most common place is it rips straight down the middle. It's still no guarantee that it won't happen. When it is cooled, take a knife, your thinnest kitchen knife that you have, and just go around the edge as close to the side. I can already tell this one is not going to stick. You shouldn't have a whole lot of trouble with the amount of oil that's in the cake, as well as oiling the pan. Once it's cooled, what you can do is cut the cake directly in half.
I'm popular, what can I say?
His cell phone was going off. You can cut the cake directly in half, flip it over, and then you have a flat surface to work in. Ice the center, put in your top, and then take your cream cheese icing all around the edges. If you want to get fancy, you can do some more ground nuts around the edge and pipe a little green leaf and an orange carrot. I'm not that fancy. It's going to be eaten. Some people I know will, and they want to. And our final pepperoni rolls. We have the the pretzel style and the regular style. This is our dinner for tonight. Don't look at it. But a West Virginia staple you're going to have to try. We both thank you for joining us again tonight in my kitchen with Mikey and Roy.
Hey.
Thank you guys for stopping by. We hope you enjoy the show.
That makes me worried.
And see, there's your toast. Perfect every time.
Guess what time it is?
Guess what time it is? This isn't a really good subject for that, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is after you eat it. So we're going to do a little bit of camera switch off. Mmm. You can't smell it, you just shove it in.
What is it?
It's adzuki bean paste.
It's beanie.
That is better for you than apple butter, than jelly.
Yeah.
It's not so sweet. It's very unique tasting.
That's for damn sure. It's very beanie.
Okay, can you describe it any other way other than beanie?
That's about it. It's earthy, beanie, and yours here.